Is it time to blow things up in Cleveland? So The Athletic reported earlier this week that the Cavs would be open to trading Kevin Love, who has 2 years left on his deal. Max, I'll start with you. Let's keep in mind he's born in California, played his college ball at UCLA, so has ties to LA, but also was raised in Oregon. Where do you think he should want to go?
Before I say anything, they're going to blow things up in Cleveland. It's like you go to a demolition site, there's nothing left but smoldering ash. And people say, hey, should we blow this up? I think someone forgot to tell people it's blown up. Where should Kevin Love want to go? Well, where do they need some shooting and maybe rebounding? A couple places come to mind, Stephen A. I'll pick the one I don't think you're going to pick. How about Philadelphia? You have a point guard who sometimes plays power forward because he can't shoot. Now, you have a 5. The thing about Kevin Love is once upon a time he was considered a big who can shoot. Oh, my God, isn't that weird, right? Oh, he could be like Dirk Nowitzki. He's not that big. Kevin Love is an NBA 6'9", but in reality a little over 6'7". He just can't defend smaller players. But he has a lot of skills that are useful. He's a great passer. He's a great rebounder. And he's a good shooter. At any position, he's a good shooter. At some positions, a very good shooter. So who do you need in Philadelphia? Well, a guy who, if you have a point guard who can play power forward at times because he can't shoot, maybe put him next to a power forward who can shoot. And the kind of center that Kevin Love needs to play with, Stephen A., is a guy who can block shots, post up, but doesn't need to post up because that's something Kevin Love can also do sometimes, can play an inside-out game and can also shoot. That's Embiid. So I think he fits in Philadelphia, and I think they're going to have need for a star when they strike out on Kawhi Leonard.
My answer would be the Portland Trailblazers. I think if you're Portland with all of these rumblings about what you're going to do with Damian Lillard or C.J. McCollum, because one of them have to go in order for you to get some kind of equitable compensation, I think that you try to hold on to both of those guys if you could get your hands on Kevin Love. Kevin Love, this is a Portland Trailblazers team that was 16th in points, that were like 19th in three-point shooting. Could they use his three-point shooting? Absolutely. They don't need his rebounding as much because they got enough dudes to do that. But they definitely need his shooting. They definitely need a viable, bona fide third offensive option who can interchange between a third and second offensive option when one of the other guys are out of the game. You need somebody that can score from your front line. You don't need to be the Blazers completely reliant upon your guards and Lillard and C.J. McCollum to come to the rescue. Somebody else with the experience who can handle the pressure, hitting big shots under pressure. I think that's Kevin Love. Obviously, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, you should do everything you can to make a move because you should clean house. LeBron is going. You're not going anywhere anyway. You need to build, and you need to use the assets that you have to create a multitude of assets for yourself. And Kevin Love is the one viable option that you have in that regard. You move him, you utilize him to get assets that you need because he's not somebody that's demanding to go to a specific place. There are a bevy of places he would be willing to go if the situation was relatively correct. And I think if you're Cleveland, you explore that.
I got another place for you guys.
One thing I want you to weigh in on this, Max, first. I mentioned that obviously he grew up in Oregon, but what about some kind of deal with C.J. McCollum, who's from Canton, Ohio, and could go back to Cleveland and play?
I mean, would you give up C.J. McCollum for Kevin Love?
No,
I would not.
I'm not saying it has to necessarily be a straight up, but just throwing that out there. I mean, they would both want to be in those cities.
I would think, they couldn't work out the money, but Houston would be a good fit, too. I think a better fit than Carmelo Anthony because Kevin Love is a much better rebounder and passer than Carmelo and doesn't need the ball as much. He's also a better outside shooter. So I think he's actually a better fit in Houston than Carmelo is, though the money wouldn't work the way Carmelo.
That's why I didn't bring it up. Money wouldn't work. You have to trade for him. That's why I didn't bring it up.